I'm Payton, or since this is a networking event, I'm at the Payton Project. Everyone go follow me on Instagram right now. So, like KL said, I'm a celebrity stylist. I've been doing it pretty much exclusively the last 7 years. And I actually opened up my Facebook page yesterday to get questions to talk about tonight. So Melissa wanted me to tell you how I got started. I was a theater major, and I was 18 years old and looking for a job. And one day, my mom called me up and said, hey, I've got a friend of mine who needs someone who's familiar with vintage clothing, who knows the difference between staged right and staged left, and is comfortable with nudity. Well, that beats waiting tables. What is it? So she said it's for a wardrobe coordinator position at the Ryman Auditorium. So my first job as a wardrobe stylist was for a play called Always Patsy Cline at the Ryman, and my job every night was to set up looks and do quick changes, and I was responsible for some of Patsy Cline's actual clothing. You know, no big deal. So, it was just a 6-week gig, and I thought, okay, well that was fun, I really enjoyed it, now it's back to reality. And I kept getting phone calls from the Ryman to book me for all the artists they had come through. And now, that's many years later. So the thing that I want to encourage people who want to go into the styling industry to do is to always show up and don't look like crap when you show up. So any job that involves anything in the wardrobe business, I have done. I have done steaming, I've done hand washing, I've done all kinds of crazy stuff just to get my face and my name out there. And when I showed up to these things, these jobs that a lot of people wouldn't even consider doing, I always made sure to show that I had a really strong work ethic and to really just put my best foot forward. And while I was doing these jobs that most people would consider menial, I hand washed a lot of underwear, you guys. It was bad. People then said, you dress kind of cool. Are you a stylist? Yes, I am. Sure. And it started out with me just dressing bands out of stuff I had in my closet, and then it went from there. It's been a really interesting journey, and it turned into, they say to write what you know about. Well, I style what I know about. So I was raised by entertainers. They're in the front row being total stage parents right now. I was raised by 2 country singers, and my mom was raised by a tour manager in country music, so the music business is pretty much the only thing I know about, and I'm a huge rock and roll fan. So naturally the progression was to style rock bands. And the only thing I can tell you about how to become a successful stylist is to work some more, and make sure the work you put out is something you can be proud of. Because the only way that I've gotten to where I am now is word of mouth and people saying, she did a great job. She went above and beyond, she went under budget, everything was great. And one of the questions that someone asked me on my Facebook page was my friend Clint Searcy in the back. He asked me, how do I dress people to fit their personalities and what their music sounds like, as opposed to what I think would just look good on them. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my process as well. So new client finds me and says, hey, I'd like you to dress me for my album cover, or my tour, or my music video, or whatever. And I meet with them and do a styling consultation, and then I pick what I call the muse for this particular client. So for instance, I just did one of the cast members from Glee. And he was in the middle of rebranding himself and wanted to go from teeny bopper to something a little cooler. So he had that kind of nerdy rock chic. Said, okay, you're Elvis Costello, and everything that you're gonna wear is gonna be what Elvis Costello would wear. And then that gives him an option to go and Google these people, and then go, okay, I see exactly what she means. We have 2 coming up where one of them is going to be very earthy, and she's gonna be my Carole King. And that's kind of my process of how I do it. After I meet with these clients and we've decided on a muse for their particular looks, then I go to what I call a mood board. And it's just an online tool where I gather pictures of, different celebrities, or different runway looks, or hair, or colors, or anything that inspires me to dress them. And it's a very interactive process as opposed to just dressing people for editorial. It's it's these people's lives that I'm dealing with. It's their livelihoods, it's their art, it's their babies. And it's my job to make sure that they look as good as they possibly can and feel like they can represent themselves in the best way possible. So when I make these boards, it's an interactive process. The client can then say, I don't like that, that scares me, I don't know what to do. So then we go from there, and then it goes into me pulling clothes. Another thing that I really want to tell everyone here that wants to be a stylist is be nice to people. Because when you are nice to people, then you meet wonderful, wonderful people who are designers, who are stylists, who have boutiques, who are vintage dealers. I'm looking at you, Crystal. And then you can go and say, I would really like to pull from you. So for instance, I pull from Crystal, from Pura Vida, for nearly every shoot that I do. And also, because I do have these people in my back pocket, I'm able to get stuff for free or for a rental percentage that is a lot cheaper than you would get if you walked in somewhere and just bought it off the rack. So be nice to people, because you never know whose mom, whose grandma, whose aunt has a boutique and can give you clothes and jewelry. So from there, then I show up to the photo shoot or the video shoot or get them ready as they go on tour. And for videos and photos, we have a fitting beforehand. I go through everything with the clients. I make sure we have set looks. And then on the photo shoot set or the video set, I then make sure everything is steamed, make sure everything is, pinned and taped, and there's so much stuff that is the most unglamorous things that you will ever do for your styling clients to make them look their very best. I've probably spent a third of my life taping women's breasts down, guys. That's what I'm talking about right now. But at the end of the day, we have this beautiful image, and no one knows if it's clipped and it's pinned and it's taped and what else have you. And Velcroed, yeah. I Velcroed my mom into a few things last week, actually, guys. So then, my job is to take it all back while the artist gets to go back home and chill and do whatever they do, and I have to go and lug it all back out. It's not glamorous. This is not like the Rachel Zoe project. I'm not like, oh my god, babe. Like, yeah, like I just got some really cool clothes, and that's done. It's not like that at all. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of sweat, it's a lot of tears, it's a lot of me staying up at night till 2 in the morning because my suits I ordered for my client are not gonna be here in time for his tour in Germany. And finding backup last minute. So, I think that anyone that wants to be a stylist, you gotta know what you're getting into. It is a full-time, no business hours job. But I wouldn't trade it for anything else in the world. So I'm gonna open the floor to a little Q&A if anyone has any. Anybody? Anybody need some breast tape down? Yeah. I love your outfit, by the way.
Thank you. I don't need any boobs taped down. But what's the best advice you've received as a stylist, as an up-and-coming stylist?
Like wardrobe tip or just tip in general?
No, just like in general with your career.
Well, always keep a bottle of vodka on hand. Not for drinking. It actually, someone actually saved my life one day when I forgot to Febreze something and said, hey, if you spray vodka on all of your clothing, it will take out all the bacteria that makes your clothes smell. So that's been number one. I know that you didn't ask for a wardrobe tip, but that one has saved my butt several times. The best advice I've ever been given as far as my career goes. The best advice I've ever been given is make sure you're doing what you're doing out of service for other people. Don't come at something to be famous. Don't come at something to be rich. Come at it with pure intentions, and then the work will come, and the money will follow. That's probably the best advice I've been given. Anybody else? Because I really want to go buy some shoes, you guys. Well, cool. Thank you guys so much for having me, and thanks to the Blogger Girls.